Good evening, how everyone doing today? Happy Mother's Day for all the mothers. And I know some of us as a mother and a father been doing a good job being strong, leaning on God to handle those children. So we're gonna thank God that we made it through, that we made it through the hard time of taking care of those children till they got grown. And some of them might still have small kids, So, uh, I got a little short news in the word on today. Now, Israel had pushed back into northern Gaza, you know, military pressure on Rafah. So Israel has sent tanks, into the eastern Jabalah, and the northern Gaza script early on Sunday after night of a heavy error and ground bound wall, killing 19 people and wounding dozens, of others. Pearson health officials say. Just a summary of everything that's going on because it's an update. Everything was came, let's started today, this morning. The Pearson death, told in Gaza war top of 35,000, help missionary. Now, two, Israel tank had moved into Jabalah, Gaza help officials said, and three. And Carson killed 19 and wounded a dozen. Four, Israel had said the operation was to prevent Hamas regrouping, and then five, family continued to flee, Rafah after new evacuation orders. So this is going on what's posted today. Now this war been going on long enough. It's been going on long enough. He still have the remaining hunches. So I'm gonna keep on praying for all the houses to be released and be safe. Because it been going on long enough. This war. This war been going on long enough. And we're going to keep praying for God to turn this war around and for us to come to an end and allow all the houses to come out safe and not home. So that's all I have on Israel and Hamas. Now, this is Mother's Day. Mother's Day. Now, Sarah. Sarah is a promise worth waiting for, And so God gonna turn her laugh into laughter. Because when God said He gonna do it, she busts out and laugh. So this gonna come from Genesis chapter 1:15, but I got some of the story I have a study Bible. So some of the stories you might not line up with your Bible because it's coming from another the study Bible story. Cause I have this book where they have the names and they have the actual story. So God had promised children of Abraham that Sarah will be the mother of the nation. And see, when God gave us a promise, it sticks to us. That stuck to Sarah. I thought God said I was going to be the mother of the nation. It's 20 years. I ain't have no children yet. Both of them hadn't got old. Time had passed, and Sarah was fed up, with waiting for a baby. And Sarah got tired of waiting and took matters into her own hands. She gave her slave Hagar, to her husband to bear a child to fulfill God's promise. And she helping God out, but God didn't ask for her help. So you don't get somebody else to do a promise child. God do that. So God didn't ask for no help. And so she gonna do all that and gonna be back to square one. And who you gonna have to call? God to fulfill that promised child. So God promised Sarah, asking God if she is the one to bear the promised child. It's been so long, so now she asking a question. It's me, God? You want to bear this promised child? Because the time is passing. I'm getting old. But see, they just don't know. God does it on purpose. He wants you to get old. He wants Abraham to get old so God can show His glory. So He can show His glory that no matter how old you is, God can do it. And so God have a plan a plan to bless Abraham, and Sarah with their very own baby. Now, she can't have, somebody else to make a baby for a promised baby. God do the promise, the promised child. She thought she was helping God out. God, sometimes we be in control so much, but God don't need our help. The promised child, Isaac, would be the one fulfilled of God's promise. That because Isaac's seed, Jacob, will fulfill God's promise. So that's why he's the promised child. They're going to bring some more promised child that's going to start that plan. So God's promise was waiting for her. Just like she laughed, but God going to give her laughter. The Lord appeared to Abraham near the great trees while he was sitting at the entrance of the tent in the heat of the day. So there were two angels. One of the men was God dressed in a human form. So Abraham and three men. So Abraham had wanted to cook for them. He saw strangers. There were three strangers. He didn't know, but see, a nice person. And when that's how he do, he comfort his household. Anybody that come there, look, I'll wash your feet. You want some food? That's how he was. And Lot was the same way too. So they ate, and they stood at the near under a tree. So three men asked, "Where is the wife?" So they asked him, "Where is the wife?" So because the talk will be about Sarah. So they went there really discuss about Sarah, because God sees everything. And she took me in her own hands, and it was a waste of time. She thought Hagar was gonna turn the baby over to her. Hagar said, "No, I'm taking care of my baby." So she back at square one. Now she back whining about God and give her the child. And so then or them say that I will surely return to you. Wait. They ate and stood at the entrance. So they said the whole conversation it's about Sarah. Because God sees what she did. She trying to help God out by having Hagar to make the promised child. So then one of them had said, I will surely return to you about this time next year. I'm going to turn to you by this time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son. Not Sarah was listening. She listening in the interest. So these strangers had said, by the same time, by next year, she will receive a child. She will have a son. And so the three men had said that they will certainly return. Abraham was now 99 years old. He was close to 100. So he's 99 years old. So he's going to be 100 when he had this baby. Years of age, and the promise will be fulfilled when he was 100. He's going to be 100 years old. The complete year, 9 months from now. It take 9 months. Now, the present time, the ordinary time of pregnancy. So he could give her that correct time because it come from God. Abraham and Sarah was already very old. And Sarah was past the age of childbirth. So now, see, God, that's what God wanted. She passed childbirth. Abraham close to 100. And she what age she at? They didn't say her age, but she old too. I think she was 80 something. And so both of them is old. She passed childbirth. And that's why God wanted this way. So he could see the power that he about to work in there. And then God won't work no miracle while they was young. They was say, well, they had sex and got pregnant. No, God wanted them to be old, so God can show his power to let them know no matter how old you is, I could get glory out of it. I could get glory out of it. These two old people about to make a baby, about to have a child. So now they both in age, and she hearing that she will have a son. Now all Sarah liked she had not had no children. She had way past menopause, past childbearing. Now it would be physically impossible for Sarah to conceive and bear a child. Only God could cause Sarah, can cause such a thing to happen at this point of time in her life. Only God can make it happen. No one can make Sarah have to conceive no child at her age. And Abraham is 99 years old. Nobody but God is going to get the glory from this. He wait till they get old, so he can show them. Okay, she passed childbearing. Now Abraham about to be 100, because I'm about to show you they're about to conceive a child. And so Sarah laughed. Sarah laughed to herself as she thought after, I am worn, she wore out, and I'm very old. And Lord talking about, he talking about, I'm going to have a baby by this time next year. She laughed. She laughed. She think it's funny. She think it's impossible for God to have her to conceive a child. But God about to show her how possible he can do. He the only one can do the impossible. So Sarah is listening from the nearby tent as her husband Abraham conversated with the three strangers. Now these men are actually, is actually God. It's actually God and two angels, disguised in human form. The moment when Sarah overheard, the prediction that she would soon bear a child, Sarah, she's 90. So Sarah is 90. Abraham is 99. And her husband, now Sarah first respond to this is laugh. Laugh meaning she had unbelief. She had disbelief. She think it's impossible for God to allow her to conceive. She don't think it can happen. But anything that God can do, it can happen. He can only one that can do the impossible. It's anything. So the angel has said, it's anything too hard for God to do. I will return to you at this appointed time. By next year, Sarah, you will have a son. And you can take that and keep laughing on that. She thinks it's impossible. She said she all wore out. 90 years old, I guess she all wore out. She old, she taking her time. But now remember, these three men said, at this same time next year, Sarah will conceive a son. But Sarah laughed. Sarah laughed. But God would turn her laugh into laughter. The Lord did for Sarah what he promised. Because see, there was a promise. And she kept on saying, God promised that I was going to be a mother of the nation. Now I'm all wore out. I'm 90 years old. My husband is 99 years old. And he promised. How are we going to be a mother of the nation? How she going to be a mother of the nation? She said, I don't have no children. But God about to make his promise come true. The Lord keep his promise, no matter how unlikely they may seem, from a human perspective. Not only had God promised, to make Abraham great, that's the same thing he said with David, to make his name great, a great nation. He had promised, because he had promised specifically that nation will come through Sarah. Because see, Sarah going to have the twins. It said Sarah going to have Isaac, and Isaac the one going to have the twins, and Jacob going to be the one to start this, start God's plan. Because Jacob going to have the son of Joseph, and Joseph going to get it started. Because when God got into Jacob, after before he wrestled with Jacob, he had told Jacob to get it started. But Jacob later on let himself got old, so he planted a seed in him of Joseph. God always have a backup plan. Now Sarah had become pregnant. She come pregnant. Remember, she laughed. She become pregnant and bear a son. So Abraham in his old age, at the very time God had promised him. Now God they had told him by next year, by this time, you gonna conceive a baby. You know. So now, God promise had came through. Now this was a miracle. That Sarah is 90 years old and Abraham is 100. But God formed a baby, in Sarah. See, God create the babies. You know, no matter how old you is, you say you want a baby and God see that you've been planting that seed and you've been doing the right thing, God gonna open that womb up and plant the seed. Because see, sometimes people can't have no baby because God will seal it up. Certain people, God will seal it up. But you do a prayer, like Hannah did. I put that out yesterday. Like Hannah did, prayed in her heart, and being sincere, God will plant that baby in you. She was closed up. She had never had no children. And God had opened her womb up, and God had put that baby in her, and God showed us that it's never too late for God to keep His word. She thought it was too late. She had then had got so old that she figured, well, we about time for us to die. So God had said, no matter how late it seems, it never too late for God to bring His word to pass. Sarah had bare a son, and she named him Isaac. And Sarah had said, God had brought me laughter, and everyone who hear about this would laugh with me. They're going to laugh with her because they all know she was old. They know she never had no children. And for her to be old and God placed a baby in her and she conceived that baby, that was a miracle. That was nothing but the power of God, And now God had made laughter, for her. Isaac name means laughter. Everyone who hear her story would laugh over her and with her. Sarah believed her story would bring joy and laughter, to others. And well, this history, she gonna let people know, this a miracle, this a testimony, that Sarah was 90 years old and God planted a baby in her and she could see that baby. At 90 years old, ain't nothing too impossible for God to do. So now just because they both were old, and when they say you will have a son, she laughed. She had unbelief, so then God gonna show her. God will making His promise come through. And at the same time, He gonna make her laugh turn into laughter. And so it's worth. Her promise was worth waiting for. Her promise was worth waiting for. So then God had turned her laugh into laughter. God's promise came to pass. It was worth waiting for. And so God turned her promise into her laugh into laughter. So it was worth the wait. Worth the wait, because she had to wait. She had to wait a long time. After she had waited, God turned her laugh into laughter. So that's a story on Sarah on Mother's Day. She got her child. It's Mother's Day, and she received her child. And God only allowed her to continue on giving her this child, because it's the promised child that God needs to bring the plan. It was already into work before anything, And by she laughed, God didn't change His mind because He need her promised child, So we did talk about the war still going on, and there was a dead toll at Gaza. The war type of 35,000 help ministry. Israel tank moved into Jabala. Gaza health official has said in Carson, They killed 19 and wounded a dozen. So we see this is still going on. So I'ma still, pray for all these hostages to be safe and be released from Hazmat. So that's all I have for you today. Enjoy your Mother's Day. Enjoy your Mother's Day, and I see y'all in the next video.